to the World Health Organization, every year 703,000 people take their own life, and there are many more who attempt suicide. Every suicide is a tragedy that affects families, communities, and entire countries, and has long-lasting effects on the people left behind. Suicide occurs throughout lifespan, and it is a serious health problem. And today's psychologist, Dr. Leahcim Semaj, is here to speak with us a little more on suicide, to unpack what it is and how we can identify, if possible, any warning signs and intervene to prevent suicide. So welcome to The Edge, Dr. Leahcim Semaj.
My pleasure. My pleasure.
Thank you so much for being here. Now, why would somebody want to take their own life?
You know, one of my favorite expressions is a statement by a Hebrew rabbi, Rebbe Nachman. He says that if you won't be better tomorrow than you were today, then what do you need tomorrow for?
Oh, wow.
If everywhere you look, you're seeing darkness, you don't see any hope. You know, there's a saying, that you can live without food for 40 days. You can live without water for probably 5 days.
A much shorter time, yes.
You can live without air for probably 5 minutes. You can live without hope for 1 second.
Oh, wow.
Just imagine that accumulation of hopelessness.
Yes.
Then tomorrow is no better than today. And it's constant pain, physical, well, it could just be mental pain, but sometimes there's physical pain. And what will end the pain? Turn off the switch.
Oh, wow.
That's the only thing you have control of. So, what it's important for us to know the kinds of things that put people close to that edge so that we can see people around us and
pull them back.
One of the most painful thing, after somebody close to you has committed suicide, then you start asking yourself,
what could I have done?
What could I have done?
Yes.
What did I miss?
Yes.
What did I miss? Yes.
And so what do we need to look out for, Dr. Semaj?
Well, let me just one more basic. More women attempt suicide than men, but women are more successful.
Oh, wow.
I should say, men are more successful.
Oh, men.
Men are more successful because woman smart. See, so the woman, more than likely, she'll take some pills, or she'll slit her wrist, but it is something that won't take time.
Right, to accomplish what the
then
desired
sometimes
outcome.
even right after she do it, she'll probably call some friends and just tell them what she just did and leave the phone on the ground so at least they know where to find her. So the methods used by women tend to result in she being saved, because on one level, suicide is a call out for help.
Call for help, yes.
But the men, the three most common methods: a gun to the head, a rope around the neck, or jumping off a tall building.
Oh, wow.
So you don't have a lot of margin for quote-unquote error with those. I know of a young man who attempted suicide with a gun to his head, and the bullet went right through without doing any major damage.
Oh, my goodness.
So you can imagine now for him, he has additional psychological... In fact, I had to deal with this case because the fact that, boss, you can't even kill yourself.
Oh, my, you can't do that right.
Yeah.
Oh, my goodness.
So it could now interpret, but he had actually had a number of attempts, a number of thoughts before. In one place, even he actually went up on top of a tall building, the tallest building he could find, and walked out and then changed his mind.
Oh, my goodness.
But this time with the gun, but he actually missed. So my explanation with him is, see, you are not destined to go this way.
That's right.
I know you this, boss. I know you this. That's why we're having this conversation here now. So make we start over and do what you're sent here to do. the case of Jonah trying to avoid what he's supposed to do, and the whale swallow him and just bring him back.
Yes.
And just bring him back and send him to do the work.
To Nineveh, yes, to speak to the people.
Exactly.
So then you say women are usually more successful at not. They attempt it more,
but
they're not as successful
as men. The method that men use is quite final.
And why is this, you think?
Because you see, technically, look, all right. When we talk about just violence in general, men's violence tends to be both physical, using their fist and using weapons.
Yes.
Women's violence, not as violent as we, but your violence is emotional and verbal.
Right, absolutely, yes.
All right,
yes,
so
yes.
I come home, you bring me dinner, come give me, but you're straight upon the table. You don't say nothing, you're straight upon, you don't touch me, you're straight upon the table.
Yes.
And I hold it, so what happened to the Lord? And you fling off my hand and and you tell me about my mama and
yes.
No.
So it is verbal.
So do I match you and try to trace you to? Then the people call me mama man.
Ah.
So you see, the woman's verbal approach and emotional approach is quite different.
Yes.
So, but we have to start at all levels. We have to start doing more to teach our people how to resolve conflict.
This matters
conflict.
So much.
And that's intrapersonal conflict as well as interpersonal conflict.
Yes, and define the two, please.
No, intra is something happening within inside you. Look, you want to work, so you earn your own money, right?
Yes.
But you all want to spend time with your children and family and husband and so on.
Absolutely, yes.
That's a conflict. So every day you come to work, you enjoy the job, but you feel guilty. All right? So when you're home now and you're not working, you feel guilty, you feel bad because you feel like you're a burden on the husband and you can't do anything you want to do. You have to ask your husband for money like you're a picnic and all of that. So those are the kind of intrapersonal conflicts. Mutually exclusive things until you can figure out a way how to be able to ultimately do all the things you want in as many ways as possible. I tell you, the ultimate success, is to find the kind of job that you can do something that you would do for free and somebody pay you.
Absolutely.
And somebody pay you. Like you there sit in a room and talk to yourself. And you get paid for doing it,
Yes,
do it a road, them call them Aduban,
Yeah, that they would, absolutely.
You one in that studio chat to yourself. Huh?
Yes.
And then pay you. So that's not a bad deal. So,
not at all.
Whereas interpersonal is you and other people. Teeth and tongue must meet. But then how do we deal with it? And that's
how do we resolve?
And we don't have enough practice. And our music has a lot to do with the problems that we have in many ways. Because
how so?
Look, you can go through our music and see how many songs. The result, how you deal with it, kick out the boy teeth.
Wow.
Step in him face, all of so many admonitions in terms of when you how do you deal with the difference. Nobody can diss me and just all of that kind of accumulation. So a lot of people are learning that's the way to do it. And I remember interviewing a young man many years ago, and he was saying that when you talk about how long I was married and all of that type of thing, and he said, him don't know nobody where him live. There would anybody for more than 1 year.
Oh, wow.
No.
Oh, wow.
No.
And so there's no expectation for any better in his life.
And on top of that, no. Wow. When you live with both parents, and also, you will have some time you will hear mama and daddy not really talking to one another,
Right.
You will see you hear the emotions and so on. And you hear little words and so on and things. But then in about 3 days, it disappears.
Yes, there's healing, there's resolution, and moving on.
Yes. So that if you're not hearing those things in your life, if you're not seeing them firsthand, that every disagreement doesn't have to be fatal.
Yes.
So in terms of inter and intra, and the notion that, listen, again, when I have to deal with people who are going through grief, one thing I explain to them, you're going to have some good days. You're going to have some bad days. You're going to have some very bad days. But ultimately you will be well. So there are times when you feel like the end will never be there. You'll never get out of it. And there's so many things. Loss of a job, end of a relationship. And that's why this ultimate thing where, this murder, suicide.
Yes.
Where,
yes.
all right, if I can't have you, then nobody else will. So we'll kill you and then kill myself. So
how do we so then that all comes from the and the interpersonal conflict resolution,
deficiency,
working on that
deficiency.
Wow. And so how do we is this something that needs to be taught in schools then? Is there a major promotional that needs to happen?
We try to one of the things missing over the last 2 years with our school program. School is more than pedagogy. School is also socialization.
Yes.
From your preschool and kindergarten, you're playing games. And Alaine, you cannot play like that. You're being too selfish.
Yes.
You can't have all of it to yourself. No, Tommy, you can't hit Alaine. You can't pull her hair like that. Huh? So we'll from we start going to school, the socialization thing starts. So that just imagine so many of our children now who have been out of school for the last roughly 2 years.
Oh my goodness, yes.
The pedagogy is short, but the socialization. What have they been doing? Largely watching television, cable.
Yes.
So we have a problem. We have a big problem. So that parents teach it every time there's a dispute between the children. The parents teach you how to handle it and what you need to do and what you can't say. And somewhere along the line, you learn that every day is not a day at the beach.
Yes.
Every day is not. You're going to have some bad days.
And that's okay.
That is okay to not feel okay.
Yes, absolutely. But I think a lot of people live behind, like a whole mask of a smile.
And exactly. Not recognizing that, not being conscious of yourself that, listen, sometimes it's okay not to be okay.
It's okay to frown, yeah.
And you're not feeling, but guess what? If you hold still long enough, you'll come back to a good day.
Oh, that's really good. And how do you suggest that we hold still long enough? What are some of the things we can do to help us to get to that place of stillness and healing?
Over time, you learn what works for you. Now, for me, a big part of my life is meditation.
Yes.
Meditation is my medication.
So powerful, yes. And what is meditation for people who don't know?
Okay. My simplest method, prayer is you talking to God. Meditation is you listening to the voice of God.
Yes.
And silence is the voice of God. It needs no translation. It needs no translation.
That's so good, yes.
So the idea of being silent with your thoughts, undisturbed, and not trying to think it through, just emptying the mind. And when you listen, I'm using the word listen in the broad sense of the word now, because sometimes you just feel an answer in your heart. You don't have to hear a voice from heaven, you get the message.
Yeah, it's a nudge, it's an inkling, it's an inner knowing.
I love that.
Yes.
So things like that, it's important to start teaching people those things, that it's okay. For me, another important, and there are many types of meditation. My favorite meditation is a walking meditation. Just imagine you go for a walk by yourself.
Yes.
With your thoughts alone. When I see people walking and listening to them radio and listening, no, you're defeating the purpose. You want to hear the voice of God. I don't want to hear a DJ in my head. you know the song by Jean Breeze with the radio in our head? Yes. Oh, just feel no way. No, you don't want a radio in your head.
No.
It's just the silence, the voice of God.
It matters because there's so much noise around, and we're speaking earlier in the show, and because we set an intent before every show, and the intention was to seek peace and to pursue it. And the thing is, people think that peace is the absence of the storm, but it is the calm in spite of the storm. How do you maintain your calm? You have to start from a place of stillness.
You don't wait for the storm to end so you can enjoy yourself. You learn to dance in the rain. Dance in the rain.
But there are lots of people, as you mentioned at the beginning of our conversation, that have lost hope. And
Yeah.
so you're saying one way to renew that hope is to encourage people to be still, to find ways in which that stillness can come to them. So it quietens the noise then. Because the noise is the problem. The noise is the problem.
And this too shall pass. But it's important for us to make sure we understand the signs around us.
Yes.
You know, we start, and that's easy thing that somebody appears depressed or sad most of the time. That's not good.
That's not good. So be aware of that and don't just say, "Oh, I just saw him stay, man.
No,
make her stay
no,
there."
that's not good. That's not good.
No.
Somebody talking or writing about death or suicide. That's not good. There's a friend of mine. He writes a lot of poetry and so on and all of that. And sometimes he goes through a period. Almost everything he sends me is very dark.
Oh, wow.
I immediately intervene and I send him something, an antidote. You know, the way he would end the sentence would be, I said, no, you could end it. It doesn't have to end that way. So that somebody, if you're somebody talk, boy, I feel for living, I feel like kill myself, you know. If you hear somebody say that twice, take it serious.
Yes.
No joke, no gossip.
Yes. And there's nothing funny about that.
No, withdrawal from friends and family.
Yes.
Lock up in their room, don't want to talk to nobody, don't want to go nowhere and so on, all of that.
Mm-hmm.
Feeling hopeless. Feeling helpless.
And so a big part of it is paying attention to the people that are around us.
Absolutely.
Paying attention to them, you know,
Absolutely.
and being present. I think it's so important. Mindfulness is so important because when you are present in the interpersonal relationships that we are blessed to have in our lives, the more present we are, the more blessings both or whoever is in the relationship gets from it. Because I can sense, I get a little nudging and say, hey, you know, you're a little bit different than you were yesterday. You want to talk about something, you know,
and even,
that type of thing.
And many times, though, we go through this routine. So how you do today? How you do? I'm good, man. I'm good.
All right. Mm-hmm.
No, sometimes there's good and there's good. Sometimes it's just words. And you have to be deceptive. You know, you have to be deceptive so that you are receptive to what is happening. And you say, no.
There's more.
Can we talk about it? Can we talk about it later?
Yeah.
You know, you don't want to talk about it now. Can we talk about it later? Somebody's always anger or rage.
Yes.
Because that anger and rage, you know, anger is just one letter away from the word danger, you know.
Oh, wow. And then anger is usually, it's actually covering up a deeper emotion.
Absolutely.
So then you have to really, you dig until you get to that emotion so that you can heal.
The anger is because you're being prevented from doing something, getting something, expressing something. So it comes out in anger. So ultimately, to turn in on yourself.
Oh, wow.
Feeling trapped. There's no way out of the situation.
And so we say to anyone who's listening, as we wrap our conversation, what if they are feeling these feelings of overwhelm, if they are feeling excessively sad, this is a sadness that has separated them from
lingers. It's not going away.
Yes. What should they do?
My thing, the first is, look, you need to have a good, you know, remember that song from Fab Five? Every woman deserves a good body.
That's right. I feel good, friend.
All right. So that, but your friend sometimes, your friend is the starting point.
Yes.
But as a friend now, you must know when there's time you need to make a referral. As you listen to your friend vent and so on, I mean, your job is not just to agree with them and say, yeah, man, you're right, man, the boy, a dirty boy, dash him away, yeah, boy, do him something, yeah. There are times you need to make a referral. You need to insist that this person needs more help than you can give.
Yes, absolutely.
So that step one, I also believe, you know, that people like bartenders and hairdressers and nail technicians are part of the mental health.
Psychologists, absolutely. Yes. Mental health community, yes. People really offload on them.
Exactly.
Yes.
So they too need to know when to suggest that the person get additional help because
that's good.
You know, not just the venting is just a part. It releases the pressure, but if something is ongoing,
it doesn't necessarily.
It doesn't resolve it. It doesn't release it. Doesn't necessarily resolve it.
Yes, and then they might ruminate in it because you know whatever you focus on grows. Expands.
Where you put your attention, that's where your energy goes.
Absolutely.
So if you're always thinking about what all the bad things that can happen and going to happen and may happen and should happen, you bring it upon yourself.
Yes, yes, and so get help, and there's nothing weak or about vulnerability. Vulnerability is the strongest thing that you can do when you're feeling overwhelmed. Ask for help, because all of us, and a lot of people feel, oh well, mental health, them going to say me mad, and them people going to look down on me, and so no. Everybody's going through what them going through. My friend said, boy, rain a fall upon everybody rooftop.
Everybody rooftop. My first foray into radio, my show called The Night Doctor, from 1 o'clock to 5 in the morning. When I sent the proposal I sent to the station, I want to do a radio show where I will use music and to heal people.
Oh, that's so good, yes.
And guess what? I know you're trying to rap, but emotions spread faster than any virus.
Oh, wow.
Emotion. Just imagine the kind of emotion that if you come on the air and you just venting and a cuss and a go on back and about this you infect people.
Yes.
The kind of vivaciousness that you will on the radio, you'll be surprised how many people, just by hearing you lift them up.
Oh, we give thanks.
Emotions spreads faster and much more contagious
than disease, than contagion.
Than any disease and any virus.
Yes.
So you, just by making sure that you lift people up with your thoughts and your words, you're part of the mental health.
Oh, and I give thanks for that. And I give thanks for you, Dr. Leahcim Semaj, for your light. Thank you so much for sharing with us. This has been very enlightening, and we hope that we have shone a little light, a lot more light on people who are listening, because so many people suffer in silence, and you don't have to. You don't have to. Yes, there is hope and there is healing, and we're cheering for you. Again, thank you so much for joining me, psychologist Dr. Leahcim Semaj. Thanks again. This is The Edge 105.